Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our inaugural episode of the Voices of Monadnock with me, Anina Hansen from Trauma Responsive Monadnock, which is a program of Monadnock Family Services. And the brainchild behind this program is also our first guest today from the Greater Monadnock Collaborative Chamber of Commerce, Luca Paris.
You have to say a lot to get us started.
And I have to say Monadnock a lot of times. And I struggle to remember the new name of, I just want to call it the Chamber. The Monadnock Chamber.
Yeah, no.
Rather than your whole...
Actually, most of the people, when you say chamber, have no idea what you're talking about, right? Chamber of Secrets. Okay, under the age of 40. Well, you're under the age of 40.
The Monadnock Chamber of Secrets, represented by Luca.
Okay, that's another whole thing.
It's going to be a great show.
Hi, Nina. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you. So we're excited to be offering this podcast where we're just talking about people in the area doing the great things that we can do around here. This is a loving Monadnock show. And so
Yes.
I want to start off by you telling us, how did you end up in the Monadnock region? Because we all know you were not born and raised here.
I was not. I was actually born in Italy. Grew up in New York City, so I was really young when we came over.
Nobody could tell, though.
No, really?
No, absolutely not.
Certain times it comes out even more. So I mean, we could get into all the time it took me to get here, but I went to school in Rhode Island. I actually met Lindy, who's my wife, and she's from here. When we were in college together. Well, getting out of college, we got married. I used to visit here a lot, and being a New York kid, I grew up in the Bronx, and I owned a deli, and I was really always into my scene. And
this place must have blown your mind.
Well, I kept coming up here and going, this is a nice place to visit, but I'd never want to live here, right? I mean, that was the mentality I started with. And every time I came up here, I felt more alive. For some reason, and the answer to what changed in me comes later when I actually move here. But we kept coming up to visit, and after a weekend here, I felt rejuvenated, and I loved the lifestyle. I remember the first time I came up and met her parents, and I stood outside and we saw the stars, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of stars.
Where did those come from?
Yeah.
Have those always been there?
Wait, they just must have. This is all
a New
fake.
Hampshire thing?
Yeah, this is a movie set. And then driving down Main Street and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I got into it, and I remember it was February of 2000. My wife's visiting a friend of hers for one of their birthdays, and they were in the city. We lived in Westchester, so she met up with her. They were going to stay in the city, and we're only at 45 minutes away, but she wanted to make it a weekend. And while she was there, I was like, "You want to move to New Hampshire?" And she's like, "What are you, crazy?" Because we both had great careers. I owned businesses. She was making great money. We just bought a house in Upper Westchester, and I said, "Yeah, let's just on a whim go ahead and do it." Well, the long story shows a lot of little stops and starts, but literally, I told her that on a Tuesday. By Sunday, we put a down payment on a new house up here because we went to visit. And then driving back, we were like, we have to tell everybody we're moving. And we really didn't look back. We didn't have kids. We didn't have anything to stop us from doing something this crazy. And I also found the place I wanted to open as my restaurant. The main thing was I needed the restaurant of my dreams. So if you go back in time, I'm the president of a chamber of commerce. I didn't wake up when I was 14 going, I can't wait to grow up and be president of a chamber. Nobody says that. But they do say I want to own a restaurant one day. And that's what I told my dad. And I had the specific kind of idea in mind of what I wanted to open and the place I wanted it to have. And now I'm in my 30s at this point. And I said, as long as we find the place that I could call, whatever we're going to call it, it ended up being Luca's. But And so from that, so now we're talking February of 2000. By the next month, Lindy was down here. We sold our house in less than a month. We purchased this one up here. On June 2nd, we closed on the restaurant. And I had moved up here at that point because I had to close up what we were doing down there. by August 12th, we opened up Luca's Mediterranean Cafe, and then
I remember Luca's appearing on the square.
And it just went up from there. We opened up a little market next door. We had 2 kids in the first 5 years. We opened up a market, moved one time, had 2 kids, and then it just took off from there. And 20 years later, I'm sitting, here next to you as the president of a chamber of commerce, which I had no idea I would ever do in my life. So yeah, but I fell in love with it. There was in 2003 there was the 250th anniversary of Keene, and I remember that so well because I remember a family coming in and going, "Luca, what are you going to do for the 250th?" And I think this is when I became part of the community. And I said, "Nothing. It's going to be busy. I'll open up." And then, oh, that's not me. I can't say that. So I went back out. It was actually the Tsoulas family, one of the most welcoming people. They own apartments and buildings around, and the matriarch and patriarch of the family, Chris and Anna Tsoulas, they were the grandparents of the family at the time. And Anna goes, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, how about this? What was the first Italian restaurant that was like, because everything becomes epic in this town, right? If you're here long enough, you become institutional, right? So you're part of the town." And they told me it was, what was the name? Oh my gosh, I'm going to forget the name now. A Pete's Restaurant. It was called Pete's Restaurant. It was opened in the 50s and early 60s. So I went, all right, I'm just going to turn this into Pete's Restaurant. So that took off. I got menus from down in Florida. His family lived in Florida, so I got the old menus. I got pictures on the wall. I went to the Historical Society, and I learned all about what they did. I mean, I put together this story.
That's so cool.
And I, for one day, transformed the restaurant into Pete's. I even changed the name of my sign. And this is only 2003 because it was before Bella was born. And I felt that was the moment where it made a difference because I remember that day, people coming up to me and older ladies coming up and hugging me and saying, "Oh, I remember going to Pete's when I was younger with my family," and yada yada. And I was like, wow, this is a really cool town. And that kind of was the moment where I felt I'm no longer just a Flatlander restaurant owner. I'm part of the community. And since then, it's always been part of the community. I mean, I loved it here. And
you just have such a gift for, and I think that story perfectly illustrates how your business sense has such immense creativity to go with it, but it's relationship-oriented creativity. You use running a business and everything that's required to really stand out with that. But people are what fuel it, and your relationships with people are what have fueled that.
Yeah, I think, you're right. I think.
Of course I'm right.
Okay, well, let's move on. Well, so I think everything is about relationships, right? And
that's
so
why you've succeeded.
As a business owner, so I always thought it was never about the food. It was never about the ambiance. It was never about the lighting. It was never about the music. It was about the way all that stuff together made you feel. So I say this to a lot of people when they start to open a business or they want to go into business. I go, so what do you want to do? And they go, well, I want to open a restaurant. I said, okay, what's the job of your restaurant? I want to feed people my food. Wrong. Right. You have to have a reason for what you're doing. Take mission statements that Nike uses. I think Nike's mission statement, not once does it mention apparel or sneakers or clothing or anything. It's to enhance the athlete, right? What they do is create a feeling when you're wearing their product. What I want people to do is create a memory when they were at my restaurant, right? So I realized a long time ago that it was a memory you were taking with you, and whether we were enhancing it because it was about the place in the memory, or I was a behind the scenes part of your memory because it was the right spot. But I never wanted to be the bad part of your memory, right? Right. Like I never wanted to be, I'm never going to go back there.
Oh, the salmonella I got at that place.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, and nobody's perfect, but at the same time, the viewpoint would have always been is your relationship building opportunities with every individual you meet in my business was about creating a memory for them that they took with them.
Yeah.
I will guarantee you could run into someone who's in their early 20s or teens that at one point, if they remember the restaurant I used to go, I would do a milkshake for them. And it wouldn't be an ice cream. It's taking milk and chocolate milk in a container in a bar shaker at the table and shake and dance around. There are kids today that if they're watching this, they go, yeah, he did that for me. And it was like the reason we went there. That was awesome. What? Yeah. I didn't make anything off of those kids.
And the felt experience of being there.
Treat people the way you want to be treated. It's so easy. Ted McGreer, who's my dear friend and a person who totally understands what it means about taking care of people. He and I have this conversation all the time. Really, you shouldn't have to teach people about service and hospitality because it should be just something about taking care of someone else, right? But because it's a job, you have to show them how to do it. So I never thought of it. I never worked a day in my life yet, even in this job. And don't tell my board that. Can we scratch that one? No, but I've never worked a day in my life. I've just felt this is both of what I've done in my life, whether it's the deli that I had in the Bronx, the restaurant that's been up here in the store, and what I do now for the collaborative, they've been callings. They were just, I was supposed to be in these spots.
It's a chance for you to be Luca in the world.
And I enjoy it. And luckily, I probably would say 65% of the people enjoy it too. So,
there you go.
It's still better
65% ain't bad.
I'll take that.
So tell me about being here in this area. It was originally a family move, but you really made yourself part, not just of the community, but the Monadnock region. Now you're out there really promoting through the collaborative and the whole campaign to make people aware of what's awesome about our area. So tell me, you yourself, what do you enjoy about being in the Monadnock region?
So it's funny because you were actually on my show, the Business Spotlight show, right? We talked about it. I'm going to have you on again because I've changed it up a little bit. But I asked this question to everybody. So about the Monadnock, same thing. What do you like about the Monadnock region? Are you outdoorsy or you're outsidesy? So what outdoorsy to me means someone that's going to climb Mount Monadnock at least 5 times a year, minimum, right? And loves hiking and loves probably the stuff you do. And just loves to be out there. I'm outsidesy. There's a restaurant that has outside seating. That's where you're going to find me.
I love that. I've never heard that.
I love the ability. I love the connection to nature and away from the rest of the world, right? One of the things we said when we started coming up with our taglines for the New Hampshire's Monadnock region, we use within thriving distance. You know that. And one of the things we started making up ones that people will never use. And one of the ones I said is we're 2 hours away from all the good stuff. And the other side of that is
that one wasn't chosen.
Yeah.
But I see the point you're making.
But on the other side of that, we're 2 hours from all the bad stuff. We're so protected, bubbled from the rest of the world sometimes. It takes 2 hours in a plane flight for me to get anywhere in the world, right? It takes 2 hours to get to Boston.
Right.
It takes 3 hours to get to New York. I'm going up to Montreal at the end of this month that we're taping in. And it's in 4 hours. But when we could be in this major city. I was in Spain and came back and I was back home. But when you're here, there's a comfort of being here. Yeah. And the things I was able to do here, I couldn't have done in a bigger city without having twice the amount of money or twice the amount of influence. We're also connected. We're connected like no other place I've ever seen before.
It's so true. That right there, that's such a good point because people do tend to say, the Monadnock region, yes, there's beautiful lakes, you can kayak, and all true. It's great for outdoorsiness, but the sense of community is so real and it is so incredible. Pervasive, like whether you're in for-profit or non-profit or just the volunteering, there's such a network where people are so collaborative, which is how that showed up in your chamber name. But it's true.
Yeah. There's 3 words on our office wall that I put on as soon as I took the job was connect, communicate, collaborate, right? Connecting is key to everything. That's why I love having events. That's why I joke around. I mean, I work with some incredible people. You know them, and maybe some of the audience says, but Julie Chozelle, who's the director of regional marketing, and then Michelle Della Vita, who's the director of development and community engagement. They are so good at what they do, and so involved and so connected and really care. I mean, both of them could work anywhere for probably twice the amount that we're getting paid here, but it's not about that for them. Again, too, they care about this so much, and And my job is to keep connecting people, communicating someone's message, helping them collaborate. But it's just part of the nature of the region. I don't even think I have to be here to have that done. What can I do to help enhance that, right? And that's what I'm doing right now. It's just, like I say, this is fun. I'm having so much fun, and I'm sinking into this couch more and more.
I want to see the Titanic pose. Go ahead.
No, wait. Okay, right.
Yes.
Paint me, Jack. There you go. That's not pretty.
We want you to be comfortable, Luca. You do whatever you need to do.
I'm about to tell you about my whole childhood sitting on this couch. All right. So let's go on.
Yeah. Well, let's talk. I love the positive focus, but there are challenges that are happening here. What do you see in the area, whether for business or just for people in general, the things that you have a wish or a vision or whatever it is to make things better than they currently are?
Yeah, see, I almost stopped myself from answering that question. This is a tough question for me because the same challenges we have, everyone else has. So whether if you're talking on the business and community growth side, right? The reason why we're promoting the region is because we show everybody the first two slides of when we do the presentation are the doom and gloom, right? The population in this area, I think right now is a total Monadnock region. We're second oldest state. Total Monadnock region, we have issues because I think 15% of the population is over 65. The region itself, estimating going fast forward 15 to 20 years, that could be over 30% over 65. So where's your workforce? Where's the next generation? Where are the 33-year-old families soon to be coming into the area to sustain this lifestyle we have, right?
To work as the nurses who will take care of all those
right, and who's going to take care
so
of
many
them?
things. Yeah.
Who's going to open up the next place? Who's going to be the newest business? Who's going to be that young entrepreneur that's doing this? And who's going to work at places like CNS and Millipore and New Hampshire Ball Bearing? Who's going to be there so they don't leave and we become just a ghost town or a ghost region, right? And I think that, to me, that's the biggest concern, and that's why we've taken on, and this project has started way before I took over this spot. But I think that in itself talks to why we're doing what we're doing. But on the other side of it, the things that we don't have right now, whether it's housing or this or that, or those are all, there's so many people are working on trying to help that. Yeah. And I think we have to look at it on the other side. Whatever we're lacking, we make up for in our community, right? And again, the connection and how we work together and all that. We'll make it work. I mean, I am amazed watching people answer these questions. I am amazed at what you do with, when you're informing people about trauma and being a trauma-informed community. And before, when you were with Reality Check, I just sit here and maybe because I was so sheltered for 30 years of my life, working in a restaurant and working in my own little world, right. I'm amazed at what people do who care about others so much. So we can get through anything if we do it together, right? I think.
Well, that's the whole idea of resilience.
It sounds kitschy, right? Doesn't
it?
Like, let's just work together. But it makes sense.
There's truth. I mean, that is the human species. We're tribal, and we protect each other. We work together. Everybody has their own role, and that creates that sense of safety and community inside which humanity thrives, and without which humanity implodes and things are bad. So
she said it, everyone. That's it.
There you go.
That's all we need.
That's the end. Thanks for being here today.
We are not going to make our cutoff time. I think I feel like we have a lot more.
This is like episode 1.
Yeah,
of
let's
many to come.
Let's do a double episode on this.
But I do love that idea because I think resilience sums up what you said, and I think that the Monadnock region is, because we're totally pro Monadnock here, is a gorgeous example of this. This idea of how people really do come together and in this way that's very tangibly supportive.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, there's a list a mile long of, well, I wish this and I wish that and they ought to this. But in general, overall, we're in a really good place as far as good things happen here. Good people work together to make them happen. And it's just a good community to be in.
And I totally agree. And every once in a while when we either make a presentation or I'm in front of a group or we're answering questions, when you start hearing the people, but what about this? And I was like, this is a great time for you to be involved because you have some great questions. Maybe you even have the answers. It would be great to have, but you know,
I thought you were going to say this is a great time for you to stop talking.
No. I think that we need people to ask the questions, because I have rose-colored glasses all the time. It's like built into my eyes, and I see the positive first in everything, and you know, to the point where it's like I want to jump and do things more and more, and you know, I mean, I think telling stories about the good out of people kind of outweighs everything else, right? And I think if we lived our lives like that more often, I'll tell you when I started thinking that way. This goes back to I probably just got married, and we were going on double dates with a friend of mine and his girlfriend at the time, and we would go out to restaurants all the time. And him and I spent most of our time ripping apart what we didn't like about a restaurant. So we'd spent a lot of time going, oh, look at the way this is, and look at that. It's a mess. And then the girls one day went, you know, we hate going out to dinner with you too. Wow. And I think a light bulb went off that night. I could remember the restaurant, remember how I was sitting, and she said it, and a light bulb went off, and it's like, why am I not just finding what I like about this? And what I like about what some place does, and then absorb that. And when I open up my place, I could do that, not the stuff I don't like, right?
Right.
So from then on, it was about celebrating the positives of a place or a person. Because look, I have enough negatives in me. I might as well celebrate the positives in me too, right? Same with all of us,
and there's so much science now that backs that up. Like, you know, having the positive mindset. When you look for the positive, you find more positive, and then you're a happier and more well person. So
why not? Why should your whole life be looking for the negative in something? So sometimes I miss it. Sometimes I miss. So when you ask me, so what are the problems? I don't know. We're doing great. So I like having people in the room that have that, you know, kind of different feel to it. So
cool. Well, let's keep going on our positive direction here. Let's have a little love fest for all the great things you can do, like events around here, because I know you're very involved. Like, we have such great festivals here, such good family-friendly things. Tell me a few of your favorites as far as the things that happen around the area.
Well, I mean, wow. We could go through a lot of them.
You know.
And one of the things, oh boy, I'm going to forget her name now. Why? I'm getting stuck because we're on the air, but Marianne from Hannah Grimes we sat down when I first got the job, and she goes, you know what Keene should be called? The City of Festivals, because we have so many. And I went, you know, I never really thought about that, but you're right. I think so. And again, it's celebrations, right? And I feel there are times to celebrate. I think celebrating is the best thing we could ever do. So if you're going to ask me for some of my favorites, first of all, a surprise one I didn't know was going to be a favorite is the Pickle Festival. Have you ever been?
I have
in Winchester, Winchester Pickle Festival. And the first year I got this job, I spent the day hitting a couple of different places, and I went there and I went, this is the coolest thing ever. And that was on a whim. They just wanted a festival. They went with pickles, and that was fun. I love what they do at the International Festival here. Yeah. I think celebrating the different diversity that's in the area, which is growing every day. I mean, we talk about it as part of the reason for the show is understanding where people come from, what they bring, their cultures. I love sitting and listening to that and seeing that. And I think they do it right every year, and it's fun, and the food's great, and I love, obviously I love food. But then it's just, I've been a big fan, and I don't know if you know this, but I was actually, Ted McGreer and I and a couple of other business owners were a big part of Pumpkin Festival during the heyday.
Oh, okay.
And Ted and I were on a show called Pumpkin Wars, which was the two Property Brothers. You know the Property Brothers from HGTV? One went to Highland, Illinois, or it was right outside Chicago, where they were doing a pumpkin fest. And the other Property Brother, Drew, came here. And we were part of the show. And that's actually a fun show. You could see some of that stuff on, there's a documentary about Pumpkin Fest. But back in the day when Pumpkin Fest was really big, Ted and I used to be big proponents of it, and we loved it.
That was a great one.
yeah,
I grew up with Pumpkin Fest.
Yeah, and I love what it meant for. I love what it stood for. I love what it meant to the community. I love what it meant to the nonprofits in the area, and how much it helped them. And it was my busiest day of the year, so it didn't hurt me business wise. But getting into it, we used to go to the schools. Ted and I used to go to the schools and create chants. Like, we go to the high school, not the high schools, the grade schools, and we'd be like, "Hey guys, we're going to talk about Pumpkin Fest and let it shine." Something. I forgot my chants, but whatever. It's somewhere.
That's a shame, because that would be a great way to close out this episode, with you just doing some chanting for us.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. Wow, this is the end of this.
We have to wrap up. I know.
Are we done?
It's in an instant. Well,
are we doing another one?
Should we go for the hour?
Well, we could be done here and do another half hour if you really want.
Well, let's wrap up this episode with what's our happy, positive note that you want to end on. How about what you're most excited about in a minute and 20 seconds?
Well, it's about what the future of the region looks like for me. With all the doom and gloom that we present with the numbers and the statistics and people not, the birth rates or whatever. I think we have, in 10 years, you're going to see a difference in this community. We'll be at the forefront of welcoming people to the area, welcoming new people, new cultures, and new opportunities. I'm really excited about what we're going to share to the world about the region. And if it takes for me to be out there and using my voice or my platform to do it, I'm going to keep doing it. And when I'm done and I've run my course and ready to retire and then disappear, back into the hedges. So
into the couch?
Right. Yeah, as I sink into the couch, I think what's going to happen is this next generation that is here and the new people that are coming will have that same feeling I did when I moved here 20 plus years ago. Yeah. And they're going to be like, when they're in my age group, they're going to be saying, this is the place we want to make better for the next generation. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much for being here today, Luca.
It was a blast.
Thank you all for joining us at the new Voices of Monadnock. We look forward to having you here many more times.